Welcome back to another episode of Ethics at Work, where we break down real-world ethical dilemmas in the workplace. Today, we're tackling a debate that might seem small, but actually raises a big question about honesty, company policies, and personal integrity. Imagine you travel for work and your company gives you a fixed allowance per diem to cover expenses. If you don't spend all of it, do you return the leftover money or do you keep it as a bonus for being frugal? That's the debate we have today. Joining us are two professionals with strong but opposite views on this topic. Meet Donna,
Hi,
who believes unspent per diem should go back to the company, and Janice,
Hi guys.
who sees it as fair game. Plus, there's a little twist. They both use frequent flyer points earned from company paid travel for personal vacations. So, if one thing is unethical, why isn't the other? Let's get into it. All right, let's start with opening thoughts. Donna, you feel that keeping unspent per diem is dishonest? Why?
thanks for having me. To me, it is simple. If the company give me 1,500 for a trip and I only spent 1,000, that leftover money isn't mine. It was given to cover expenses, and if I don't use it, it should go back. Keeping it is the same as taking extra money from the company for no reason. Think about it. If the company reimburses us based on receipts, there will be no debate. No one would expect to submit a receipt for 1,000 and ask to keep the actual 500. That would be fraud. But because per diem is a lump sum, suddenly people think it's free money. That's ridiculous.
Janice, your take?
I totally disagree. The per diem isn't a reimbursement. It's a fixed budget for me to manage. If I choose cheaper hotels, eat at budget-friendly places, and use public transport, I should get to keep the savings. That's just smart financial planning. Do not act like I'm robbing the company. But the reality is the company chooses to do it this way for a reason. Tracking receipts and processing every expenses line by line is expensive and inefficient. They give employees the freedom to decide how to spend within a set amount. If I spend less, that's my reward for being responsible. It's no different from a company giving employees bonuses for cutting costs.
So, Donna, you're saying Janice is essentially stealing by keeping that extra money?
Yes, no one checks because they trust us to use the money ethically. Just because you can get away with it doesn't mean you should. Imagine your employer gives you a work phone with an unlimited data plan and you start using it for personal Netflix streaming. Is it technically allowed? Maybe, but it is ethical? No, the company provided the phone for work purposes, just like they provide a per diem for work expenses. The money was never meant to be a personal bonus.
That's a terrible analogy. The work phone example is about misuse of a company asset. This is about how we manage our own expenses. Let's say two employees get the same 100 meal budget per day. One person eats at fancy restaurants and spends the full amount, while the other eats simple meals and spends only $50. Are you saying the second person should be forced to waste the remaining $50 just to balance things out? That's abuse. And let's flip the script. If someone overspends their per diem, should the company demand the extra money back? Of course not. That's the whole point of a flat rate allowance. It gives employees flexibility to make choices that suit their needs.
Donna, how do you respond to that?
That's just an excuse for pocketing extra money. The purpose of per diem isn't to give employees bonus money, it's to cover their actual expenses. If the company knew that most employees weren't spending the full amount, they probably lower the per diem. By keeping the extra, you essentially tricking them into thinking you need it more than you did.
Or maybe companies already know employees don't use the full amount and celebrate accordingly. If they were losing money, wouldn't they change their policy? Businesses aren't dumb, Donna. They weigh the cost of per diem versus the cost of managing receipts and reimbursements, and they choose the easier option. Keeping the extra isn't unethical. It's just how the system works.
Okay, good points. Let's bring up something interesting. Both of you use frequent flyer points earned from company paid travel for personal vacations. If Donna is so strict about money, why doesn't she see that as unethical?
Look, using points isn't the same as pocketing cash. When I book a flight for work, the company pays the same amount whether I earn points or not. I'm not taking money from them, just benefiting from a system that already exists. The airline rewards me, not my employer.
That's a weak excuse, Donna. Those points are technically company-owned assets. If we are being strict, shouldn't they belong to the company? The company is paying for the flights, so shouldn't they get to use the points for future business trips instead of us using them for personal vacations?
No, because they don't cost the company extra. The per diem, however, is actual money that belongs to them until it's spent. Frequent flyer points are a part of the airline give me personally, but the company never sees a financial loss from it.
That's an interesting distinction. But Janice has a point. If your argument is about who the money belongs to, shouldn't all company travel benefits go back to the employer?
I guess it's a gray area, but points are a byproduct of the system. Keeping extra money feels different because it's deliberate. I argue that points are an unintended bonus, while keeping unspent company money is an intentional choice.
I see it as the same thing. I use points from work to get free vacations, and I use leftover per diem to get a little extra cash. What's the difference? If companies cared, they set up corporate accounts for the points, just like they could track per diem expenses if they wanted.
This really raises a key question. Where do we draw the line between what's fair and what's dishonest? Let's take a step back, though. This isn't just about travel expenses, it's about how people justify actions in the workplace. So, let me ask you both. Would you feel comfortable explaining your choice to your boss?
Yes, absolutely. I tell my boss that I return on spend per diem because I believe it's the right thing to do. If they found out employees were keeping extra money, I bet they would be not happy.
Honestly, yes, I told my boss, and I guarantee they wouldn't care. Managers know employees do this, but they don't stop it because it saves them paperwork and admin work.
Another question. If everyone in the company started doing exactly what Janice does, would that be good or bad for company culture?
Bad, it creates a culture of taking rather than fairness. If everyone thought, well, no one's watching it, so I will keep the money. What stopped that attitude from spreading to bigger ethical issues?
I think it's neutral. If honestly employees would just be smarter with money, what really matters is performance at work, not how much someone saves on a business trip.
That's a great debate. Now let's bring this back to real life. Have either of you ever faced a situation where something was technically allowed but felt morally wrong? How did you handle it?
Yes, I once had a project where my team cut corners because there were no rules against it. It felt wrong, so I spoke up. The boss actually changed the policy afterward.
For me, it was the opposite. A past job had weird, strict policies about expenses, but everyone ignored them because they were unrealistic. Sometimes common sense should override company rules.
So, ethics aren't always black and white. All right, before we close, let's get some final thoughts. Donna, one last reason why Janice's approach is unethical?
Because it undermines trust. If everyone tries to take advantage of loopholes, it creates a toxic workplace where employees are always looking out for themselves instead of doing what's right.
Janice, your last defense?
Because it's realistic, business is competitive. Employees find ways to maximize benefits just like companies do. It's not stealing, it's smart.
And listeners, what do you think? Is Janice's approach just financially savvy, or is Donna right to call it unethical? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and until next time, stay ethical, or at least try.